Quinn Burt's College.
Yes. And I'm picking up the wrong color on my brush. Darn.
It looks like Quinn Gold.
I know it looks a lot like it. It's that Aussie gold I put in there, and it looks so,
Similar.
yeah, looks similar. So,
Much more orange.
yeah, it's an orange. And it probably would have worked, but then y'all wouldn't have had it, and it just would have made a mess out of everything. And I'm not even sure why I'm carrying it around in my palette. Well, mess. All right, so I've got those, and let's put a little bit of cerulean over here. Well, I've got it contaminated, but that's okay.
And what is that?
Cerulean.
Cerulean.
All righty. Let's see what we're doing here. I wish I was using a larger brush.
Stop it for a second.
Well, I think I'll start out up here. And I'm gonna mix, let's mix a little of these together. This will show up better, probably, if I just move this. Okay. I wanna be sure I've got enough red in here, cause you don't want this dog to look yellow. And what I've got is I've got a juicy big brush. So you could do this with a smaller one too. As a matter of fact, where I have just changed my mind and decided to start out, I do need the smaller brush. Okay. And then we'll see. So rather than go to some of these areas where they kind of blend in together, oh, maybe we should start there. Okay, let's start there. So mine has got a little too much dark on it, but whatever. So I'm going to come in here, and there's a lot of the reddish brown that blends into some of these other areas. And so what I want to do, this will be easier to do here. For one thing, the hard edges won't show up as much, but also it just seems to work better over other color. So I'm going to soften the edges. Pull up a little of that, a little like this. So it just, you know, if you look, no, that's pink, never mind. Okay, we won't go there yet. Okay, so I'm just going to come on up to this area. And I want my paint to be fairly strong. And I don't have it mixed as strong as I would like it. So what am I doing here? I'm just dropping more color back into the wet places and letting it run in there. Okay. All of this is brown. I may get a little bit less brown right in through here. There's a little more pink because the hair's shorter there, I think. Let's just give ourselves a break here by softening some edges. Whoa. Well, okay. He could have a place there. Let's soften these edges. Oh, I got a little bit sloppy. You can paint a little slower than I paint. It's okay. So I'm going to come right along that edge with just a touch of water. Oh, well, I got more than a touch of water, didn't I? Okay, let's give it a little blot. What we're looking to do is have an edge that's not too sharp of an edge. You know, it's a hairy animal, so all the edges are a little bit fuzzy. So that did pretty well. I got a little bit of color up in there. That'll work just great. I don't have any black up in here yet, or dark, I should say. So let's do a little bit of that. That's working for me. Now this is your first layer. This isn't what's going to do everything. I think I'll go ahead, put a little more color right up in there. We'll separate it later. So maybe there. So you're working pretty much like this all over, but you're looking to get some places a lot stronger than others. Oh, let me show you something. Let's just do this. So I could have done it down here too. Let's see, where was I? I had a place
You were
in
up
mind.
You were up at that top somewhere.
But there is a place here. I think I see a place here that could get a little bit lighter. It's got a little too much black. If I take this, and I'm just pulling this brush, so this is a stiff brush. I'm just pulling it so that it's not sticking into the paper. So I can pull up a little bit of color there. Not too much. Oh yeah, right down here. This is where I was looking at. I'll just get this a little lighter. I can also soften a lot of edges with this. So this is just an old oil brush. If you've got a brush you've used on oils, you want to be sure that it's stripped of any oil before you use it like this, though. So there's a little bit lighter area in here that I could have done a little more artfully. By golly, I'll just pull that up. And whenever you do this like this, you're going to get soft edges because you can't make this give you a sharp edge. All right, so those places are already wet, and the fact is that that's probably going to work really well. Let's just go ahead and pull a little color into here. So once again, I want to soften this as it comes in here. Well, there's a little bit. I could find a little bit of brown right under there. And then coming up this way. So only do a small area at a time. Don't try to cover too much of the dog because you need to come in and soften edges. And depending on whether it's trying to dry on you. I want to soften these edges in here. If you want an area to look richer and deeper, you can definitely add in the color into your black. And there are other places where the black looks decidedly like there is no red there. So you're just working like this. Okay. I wanted to do a place on the paw because okay, right this area right here in the photo. I'm sorry, moving everything around. Right here is a really light spot, and so there's a light spot on the leg. And you really want to make that feel almost like one shape. You don't want to define the leg there. What happens is, as people have defined the leg here and even shadowed the edge of the leg in that area, because of the camera distortion and I don't know whatever all else happens, it has the look that's just something lapped over the side of his head. Almost looks like a blanket folded up here. Mm-hmm. So you want to watch out for that area. So right here, I might want that to be a little bit lighter than that. In fact, let's talk about this area back up here. I think that's more important. Let me go into that. So up here, oh dear, not a clean brush. Up here, well, you can see where I splattered water. So up here, I'm going to suggest that you could just splatter around some water, something like that. Come in, and let's let this, I've got too much gold in that. Now, mixture's not good. You don't want the dog, just because you want the dog lighter doesn't mean you want bright yellow. So, okay, I'm going to pull some color in here, and then I'm going to soften this edge. You could do a complete job and bleed it all the way out there at the top. You could just make it soft. And in here, you see where I've got my sparkles that I just love to have sparkles, but here I don't want sparkles because they've got hard edges. And hard edges bring it forward because they make it look crisp, well-defined. And we don't want this to be well-defined. So let's drop some water in there. If you get some runbacks, those would be fine. And that's just too yellow. I've got to add some more red to it and redo my mix. So what we want to keep this area light. I've kind of made a mess. Okay, so this is going to work. I would
Light
really
it.
like for it to be
That's what I was thinking.
a little lighter. And you could put a drop of blue in here, although I've got so much yellow, mine may turn green. But you could add a little something else just to make it, okay, a little less dogly. We don't know where the dog ends. I think we probably know, though, that the dog doesn't come out here. Well, it could. Okay, depends how fat your dog is. Right. Okay, so let's do that. Now let me fix my mixture. I'm going to take my yellow and put it into my red, because this really needs to be redder. I kind of messed up there. Don't you do? See, I'm showing you what not to do. And I generally do a grand job of showing you what not to do. All right. So let's get to this leg, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about not staying in the lines too much. You know, this is more background again, but you could also just get a little looser. So if you take your brush, I'm using the bigger one again. Here. Take your brush, and you can see how when I'm working with this brush, I'm not actually brushing like that at all. I'm stamping that brush down like this and just letting paint flow out and do things. And let's just come in here with a little blue and begin to make a little shadow. And under here, maybe. And so far, we haven't really defined that leg much at all, and we don't have to yet. I want to get the line. I have to move this, sorry, but I want to get the line around the chin the right shape. I don't want to have little jerky things like I had out there. And the shadow can have part of the dog's color in it. Again, you might just come in and, well, let's see what we want to do here. I'll keep this area light for now, and then I might even squeeze my brush out and pull up a little color here. I'll have to keep an eye on it because it may kind of crawl around in kind of a funny way. But I could even pull up a highlight on his toes. Okay, so I just want something that's real relaxed and playful for now. Now, when I look back at this and I see the darks coming through here, this is not anywhere near dark enough. Okay, I really, really wish that I had gone ahead and mixed up a little bit stronger mixture. So you might want to go a little stronger. Let's just put some gold into that. Let's see what we get here. Because this just, before I even put the wrinkles in, this is just too weak. And you could do it in multiple layers like I'm doing here. And it's always safer to do it in multiple layers. So if you're new to this, or if you botch up like I did, you might want some strong paint here. There. I want to get something a little more intense. Okay, now that looks like, oh my gosh, this dog is bleeding red. It's not going to be that strong when it dries. So I'll just pull it out here and we'll see what it looks like later. Okay, so you can see we're just getting beginnings of color in here. You kind of have to find where the edge of the ears are. Here's the top of the head, and back in behind the ear here is more of the body. And so what I would suggest is, for now, treating them like they're part of the same thing, because the body back in there is going to get a whole lot darker. So you could start out like this, and this could come up into there, and if that's still wet, oh my goodness, I'll get a nice soft edge. So you're just working an area at a time, and it's better if you think it's getting away from you, you're not working as fast as you'd like, whatever. You may want to do some soft edges. You might even want to just back off and catch your breath and say, you know, it's all going to be okay. You will see that right here, I kind of moved the dog's body down here, which may not have been the best thing, but what I didn't want was that tiny little body right there where it's foreshortened. We've kind of pulled it up that way, so maybe we didn't need to pull it down this way. You choose how far you want, how much body you want there. I'm beginning to think wasn't necessary now that we've got this up here. So we're just going to work along. Oh, looky here. See, when you go off and you leave it, it has a mind of its own. Kind of wanted to highlight there. It's really not the best timing to do this, but it's not too bad. Just do a little bit of that. I want this to feel kind of loose when we get back in here and we begin to put some blues in and some things. I want the color to really pop between the reds and the blues. So this is all going to feel just sort of lost and playful. You could also take a little bit of quinacridone coral. It's another one of my favorite reds. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'll tell you again in a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add little tiny bits of pink in here. And again, you want to be careful you don't get too much. But a lot of these areas around the muzzle on dogs that have got white especially, you'll see some pink coming through. Oh man, that's a relief just seeing that right there. It just feels right.
It just pops.
Doesn't it? It just says, oh, you know, there's just an awe feeling I have. And over here, I'm going to put it over the whole eye for now. And a little bit, you know, right in here. So I'm kind of looking at the picture for cues for that. And there's not much. You can see little bits. But here's the thing. we artists can exaggerate it just a little bit. And know also that since you're working with watercolor, you may not have exaggerated as much as you thought you did. There's another thing down here I was going to mention about the chin. Has anybody got a pencil handy? Oh, no. Oh, pencil. Yeah.
This kind.
Okay. That's a pencil up, right?
It is a pencil,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So, the lip, I didn't draw this line because it's real subtle, but the lip is right here, the edge of the lip, and this is the chin down here below it. Can you see that? It's just barely. Okay, so what I was going to suggest doing also was just taking a little bit of your dark mixture that you used before. This isn't what you used, but I'm gonna, and put a tiny shadow down here on the chin so that it separates it from the lip a little bit. I kind of killed an area right there. I got sloppy with my edges. There's some places where the edges and the exactness of the edges really matter, and other places where you don't want them to count at all. So I'm putting a little pink down here too because I want it. You know. So a little bit of that, and I can see that I also need a little bit more shadow across here that I didn't have. And he's got a little bit of something going on up here. So you get the idea. And here's the thing too. I have this brush to loan out for anyone. I have more than one. Serious flaw here. This is where I worked the background, and you can see I made shapes with my brush kind of going this way, and I've got little chops into the ear that don't look right. So you want to not have those. And it's pretty easy to come in with your Mr. Magic sponge here. And I can just blend some of that background color into this for that matter, but you can see how I can clean that up, and then I can come back with a sharper edge and fix that. So there's a lot of things that you could fix with Mr. Clean. I
And a
also,
lifting brush.
huh?
And a lifting brush.
And a lifting brush. I think Mr. Clean is gentler than the
Yeah.
lifting brush, but there are times I've actually got all sizes of lifting brushes. That's just what I happen to have with me then.
Is that why you said not to buy one? Because you have them?
No. Because I wanted to show you exactly the right kind. I'll have to bring them in, okay?
This is my poor.
Yeah,
lifting
this
brush.
is a really good one right here. So, it's a
been through a
synthetic.
lot.
It's a synthetic that is not too stiff, but it's trimmed to be just a certain amount of stiffness.
Okay.
And so when you bring them in, then I chop them down and kind of show you what we're looking for. And they're usually a little bit harsh at first until they get beaten up some.
So much.
I probably have a lot that you could.
Did you chop that off?
Uh-huh.
Like those cheap ones that you didn't.
You've got some like that, Ken. We've done it. We've
Yeah.
done that for you.
Put some-
But I've got a lot of old brushes.
Okay.
So let's look at this brown I've got here. This reddish brown. That's pretty good. It just needs some burnt umber in it. I think that's burnt, yeah. It needs some burnt umber mixed into it. And it doesn't take a lot. Well, I said it doesn't. To begin to give you a deeper red. And this would make a real good one.
Has burnt umber and
A little bit of Quinn Gold and
Quinn Gold.
and Quinn Burnt Scarlet. You're using your Quinn Gold and Quinn Burnt Scarlet mixture, and you're adding a little bit of burnt umber to it. I was going to mention that I actually lifted in here and here some, and I may have to put more color back in. When you lift with this, if you're real gentle, you'll find that you can generally paint back into that pretty successfully. The trick is to be gentle and never, like I said before, never buy one of those those brushes that they sell as lifting brushes.
That's what
Those,
she was saying.
those will just torture your paper half to death.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. Let's go in here. And if I can find my lines that I drew. Okay, well, here's one. There we go. Would probably do this better with a, can't say it, with the silver brush. There. So you see how I did that edge and then I tapered it off. So let's come up here, where here's a wrinkle here. Can't see where that wrinkle went because because I've just about washed away my lines, unfortunately. I hope y'all haven't done that, but you probably have.
I can't get rid of mine.
Okay. Well,
That's
good.
no problem.
Good, because by the time you get enough darks in here, you will have. So you can see right here. Here's the way I like to handle this, or let's put it this way. Here's one way to handle this. I did one side. Oops. I did one side of that crease. And there's another side to it. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to let these overlap. And when I do that, you're going to get a darker area right there in the center. Did that. Okay, we've done that early on, so now we can come back there in a minute. Let's go to the ears while we're letting that dry. So let's say that, I know this table is not very stable.
No, you just sit.
Oh, okay. So I've got my,
I'm just a little dizzy.
oh, damn.
I've been dizzy today, so it's okay.
Are you getting enough salt?
Are you
Sure.
hot? Are you
Yes.
hot?
Maybe too much.
Your face is red. Are you hot?
I'm hot. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Turn the fan on.
we'll turn the air on in a minute too. So I'm putting the
Scarlet?
this is
coral or-
coral. This is Quinn Coral, and I love this. I use this is one of the two reds I use the most. So I'm going to soften edges here, but I haven't really determined how much I'm going to need in here. I know I'm going to want it darker in some areas than others, and I may use a little bit of my burnt scarlet too. I might use my Quinn Burnt Scarlet pure by itself without the gold in it. So I might deepen some of these areas this way too. Eventually, you want enough grays and pinks in here to mostly make the skin that way. So right now, it's going to be too pink. And by the way, Quinn Coral has got a certain kind of brightness to it. That's what makes it so good. But I don't know what I was going to tell you about that. I was going to warn you off of it, but no, ignore me. Okay, I don't want to scare you either. Okay. So I'll start out with that as my base on there. Let's also go ahead and let's put some of you have done the eyes. We'll go ahead and get some burnt umber, a little bit of burnt umber in these eyes. And his eyes, her eyes, whoever, they're not quite brown either. They're kind of a dark gray, but I'm just going to go with a little brown to darken them because I think it will blend in well. So, like that. So we've got that where we can go back and work on it again later. You know, part of this is about putting stuff in. So then, I think this is dry enough that I can work with it. You can always take, go to the hairdryer too. This is not gonna make it quite as dark as I wanted. I'll probably do some more buildup on this. When you turn this too. Yeah, there's a shape here, kinda does this, and then gets wider up here. Something like that. Okay. So what I want is, those, let's try to get this a little stronger. I want this to overlap the other color just a tiny bit. And I do think that I probably should have gone to the dryer with it. Because I'm working pretty wet here, and yeah, it's. So, and you can, oh, I know what I did. I'm working in the wrong place. No wonder that didn't look right. Okay, that's the underneath of the ear, and I just killed it.
What's the underneath of the ear?
Okay, I worked.
Right there.
Yeah, or not the
Okay.
underneath, it's the back side of the ear.
back side of
Yeah.
the ear.
So what I wanted to do, now I've gone and gotten this wet, I don't know if I can make this work.
You want it to be on top.
I want it to be on top of the other line, so that between the two of them, it gets a little deeper. Yeah, you have to be careful with this dog that you don't get your wrinkles mixed up. So,
We don't want to get our wrinkles mixed up.
I think that this still isn't dark enough, so I could take some of my gray. The thing is, you can shade with gray, but you want to be careful, because if the gray becomes too dominant, then it doesn't quite read right. So I'm going to put a little gray something in here. I'm going to try and get a little darker. Ooh, I don't know if I like that or not. Well, let's see what I got here. Let's find another place on the dog, right here, because right in here, I need a really dark wrinkle. You know, it gives you a whole new perspective on wrinkles, doesn't it? There's a little triangle right here. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get it strong. Okay, like that. Then I would come around and do it, from the other direction also a little bit. And then there's some shadow in under here. Ooh, I can make it work. So one of the things, I've got confused about where my dog wrinkles are. One of the things you can do, if your paper's really dry, you need to take it to the hairdryer and make sure it's hard dry, is that you can come in and draw with a pencil on top of your painting, and kind of refine those areas if they're getting away from you, like I let this get away from me. And you'll be able to, that generally works pretty well. I can pull up a little color here, and maybe I'll pull up a little here, because that's just almost, you can't see that there's a wrinkle there. I don't know how well this is working. Okay, so I'm squeezing it
They're
out.
hard. I
They-
worked
Yeah.
a long time on
Yeah.
my wrinkles.
You kind of have to
I
take some
redid
time with them.
this.
Another thing you could do is you could turn your painting this way, because it is easier to follow where you are. And that's probably what I should have showed you to do. If I'd been showing you to do it, I would have done it, and then I'd be better off. Here's the ear, which I just washed out. So this is sort of the base of the ear, and then this is skin that's wrinkling over it, right above it. So once again, I'll reinstate that ear. But yeah, I would suggest if you can't see your wrinkles, or if you're having trouble with it, I did a lion's head one time. The lion was upside down. And I just about lost my mind trying to keep up with that thing. So I had to turn the lion upside down where he was facing me the right way in order to find where I was. So I've got this 2 light in here. You know what? I'm just gonna pick up a little blue and put in here. I wonder what'll happen.
Good.
I don't know. But here's the thing, nothing ventured, especially when it's on camera and the whole world can see it. Yeah, I kind of like that. There's not much in there because it's on top of a gray. And cerulean will hold up on top of other colors pretty well because it's got quite a bit of opacity to it. I don't want to use it all the way up, but maybe I'll just put a touch more right there. That's sort of the final tweaking. Let's see, did these eyes dry yet? No, not really. So I shouldn't do what I'm doing.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Just gonna take out some color.
I'm gonna pull out just a little bit. Kind of give him just a little bit of softness there. But that's still, we're gonna use white ink, to put, y'all used white ink on something else recently, didn't you? This
Yeah.
way?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a bit more of a gray shadow. This is from another project, so this really isn't the thing, but there's a little bit more of a shadow right in here. Maybe I'll do that much.
Oh, I like that.
So, good. I want just a little more color right there. 'Cause that shouldn't be as light. So we're just doing like little tweaks and big tweaks. Big tweaks, yeah. So this hard edge right there really defines that edge of that ear.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come in and there's a place right here too. That doesn't need to be as strong, but you could come in right there. And so what winds up happening is you have that sense of that ear being bowed out, being convex right here. Oh, and look at this now. This is dried and it's not anywhere near dark enough. And so I'm just going to build it up. And I might build it up several times. I would say this, particularly if you're new at it, you might want to just gradually build it up. That way, if you get an edge that's not looking so great, it won't stand out so much because you had several goes at building it up. So this needs to have a soft edge on it. And I certainly don't have one there. This needs to soften up. Oh, I don't have anywhere near enough color. This is the inside of the ear and runs alongside that wrinkle right there. So a lot of the time you're finding places just by making a negative edge, that is making an edge that feels like it's behind another edge, makes it stand out. So you can do things like that. You're getting a lot of practice making soft edges here. So this whole area just needs a whole bunch. And here I keep messing with it instead of letting you go. And I know you're ready to go work on this. So I'm gonna get one other spot here. Just add a little more red into this and then pull it on out. And go over the darkest area too. See, I've got that hard edge I made there last week, I guess. It's beginning to work. You get the idea.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
beginning to work. It looks great.
So just